this signal comes up, I'm right at the 89. I'm not real excited about that. Again, we get one that pulls back. I don't like to start a trade right at these in terms of, is it going to have a good chance to get going? So we keep moving. We get this SQ signal. SQ signal is at this resistance zone. So that was pretty interesting. That would be the type of SQ that I might be interested in taking. Now, when we're in a squeeze, you're going to have your moving averages between the Bollinger Bands, and they're going to be flat. That's kind of the definition. But here again, we had a squeeze signal. It moved down, of course, to the 200, came back and gave us a BR. Well, I had a reason for that SQ to work with that resistance zone right there. But it also ran into some trouble right here. Pulls back. I like that a little bit better because we're later in the squeeze. I don't like taking real early in the squeeze signals. They just tend not to work too well. And there'll always be exceptions. So that one went down a little bit. We still got a rising 600. So here we go. We get another short-term trend up. We get a first BR. It's with all of the moving averages. The only thing I don't like about this, and it may give me pause, is here we are at this multi-time level DPTL resistance zone that the market reacted to. So in essence, we're right at a double top when this signal is forming. Now, yeah, it went up and probably gave me my 18-tick winner, but that's the type of thing I'm looking at. Okay, I don't take all of these. So market goes up. Again, we've got this very wide, very big zone. Here's our little high of day, ... So we're making a high of the day, coming up to a resistance zone. We're getting a short-term trend, and it's counter trend. No doubt about it. Got a counter trend trade. When I do counter trend trades, basically I scalp them. I might just, with my 3 contracts, I'll take that 18 and move it into the 12. Depending on where it is, if the 12 is in a favorable spot, I'll leave it. But I am not ashamed to scalp a counter trend trade. Here's a very nice ZR signal. And by the way, these are, on this chart that I'm showing you, these are unfiltered. You can put in a moving average filter saying, hey, I only want to see these ZRs if it's within X number of ticks of a exponential moving average. This is the 200. So we've got a support zone here with 3 DPTLs, different time periods, and the 200. That's pretty strong. So that one moved up. We got a reset. We got a little pullback. And here we go again. Here's an early BR signal. So if you're going to take those, just be mindful. You got to put your stop back here. But here's what I'd be concerned about. Doggone it. Here's this. We got 4 different time period DPTLs all saying this is a pretty strong area. Personally, I'd probably pass on that. I want to see how it's going to resolve with this. I'm okay with missing a trade. So we go up. This one I like a little better. Basically because we went up, high of the day, high of the session, and we did a retest right to the dots. But I can tell you just from experience and back testing, when you make a move up, and you can say that's a 5-wave move. It's not an L8 wave, but a 5-wave move, and then you start to get a retest, and you get this long string of dots, and the price just goes right to it. That by the way, that's as far as it could go. If it closed up above that, we would get a green vertical line uptrend. So that's as extreme as it can get. Those generally do quite well. So that little pattern right there is a very good one. And it moved back to test the 200. And we got this giant, it's a very large support zone, but that's just where the DPTLs came up. And so we're bouncing up. We're still in a squeeze. See how we're in and out of this squeeze, this dark gray background. Pretty good indication that we're still going to have some choppy price action. Do you take this early signal when you're in a squeeze and you're starting your trade at a tick off? We're right below the Bollinger Band in a squeeze. Not a good idea. When you're in a squeeze, respectable ones are bad. And that was pretty much the end of that day. So I'm going to pretty much focus on the trade day. So this is 4:30, and I'm going to kind of zip through there. There's the middle of the night, and you can see, you know, overnight the signals work too. I mean, the same principles apply. But I'm just going to kind of go through a little closer to this. There's the opening. There's the next day's opening, but you can see we've been range bound most of the night. So that's a little telling. However, look what happened right at the opening. We dropped down into this big support area that we were looking at previously. Got an SQ signal. That was interesting. Do you take it, or do you just note it as interesting information? Use it as confirmation on your first BR signal. Now we're in and out of the squeeze, so yeah, it might be a little choppy, but we're also, you know, Russell loves to make an opening move. So it made its opening move, and it goes up here to, now we have another DPTL zone. So we got two DPTLs, so that's kind of interesting. I'm not going to jump in the market here, but it made something of a five-wave pattern. Probably not an Elliott wave, but something of a five-wave pattern. It did terminate at a known zone. Now we've got our short-term trend down. There's our first signal. So, you know, do we have some CFs for that? Yes. As we're coming down, we get these little counter trend ZRs, right? That's why right now in this market, I'm not looking too heavily at the ZR signals. The BRs seem to be so strong. And we come down, we come down, we come down. We kind of go through that to make a new low. We're actually retesting the low of the day. So that's pretty interesting information. So somewhere back here we made a low of the day, but when we almost made it to it. So that's another excellent heads up that, hey, we may be getting a reversal. Let's see if this will push through and give us a green vertical uptrend signal. It did. And if you were to take that first BR, you had a nice trade. Notice with this entry, we're kind of entering in this zone. Well, it's a big wide zone, but we've got a little bit of room before we get to this 89 and the 600 and the 200. I think of that in terms of kind of get a little bit of a momentum going to bust through that. That's exactly what the market did. Went up here, it wasn't real clear what it was doing, kind of in between some details, so kind of waiting. You know, it comes back down. Am I going to be interested in jumping on that BR? I'm not. I do not like to start a trade heading right into these moving averages. So I wait. We come down, we test the 60-minute DPTL, or a top edge of that zone. We retest it. We go back up, we get another one. Okay, so this little BR, very different story with that one. My entry is going to be up in here. In other words, I'm entering above all these. So and remember when I put my order in, it hasn't gotten there yet. So I'm anticipating, but I'm entering past the moving average. I want to be moving away from these things. This little trade over here was moving into them. That made me nervous. Didn't really want to get involved with that one. It was just too much stuff below it. This trade, when I look above, there's a little more clear sailing up here, and the market responded to that. So we move along. You know, nice trade there, and it goes up here, and I got one DPTL, and I'm kind of in no man's land. I'm sure Jerry would have a zone there that I don't. And move down. We got our little red vertical line. Yeah. Am I interested in that one? Well, I put a lot of weight on this 200 because the market just goes to it like a magnet so many times. So for me, I'm probably I'm interested in that one. I'm not so concerned about the 89 here. Got a ZR1 at the 200, at the top edge of this zone right here, and a very, very much uptrending 200 and 600. You bet I'm interested in that. But if on my trade plan, for example, I'm saying, no, I'm only going to focus on BRs, but I'm going to use that as a confirming factor for the first BR signal. Either entry you would have done fine. Now, pretty clear 5-wave pattern here. In fact, that looks like an Elliott wave. So we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're up to a higher time frame DPTL. Now we're kind of suspicious. Hey, this could be a reversal point because we got this pretty nice looking 5-wave pattern. So we're going to wait. And sure enough, we get the vertical line, and we get an early BR signal. Notice no green bar here. That's early entry. Okay, if you're going to take that, your stop's going to be way back here. And so you're going to have a 15 or 20 tick stop. So you may say, oh, that's too much. I'm going to wait. I'm going to see if I get a better signal. And sure enough, you did. Pull back several green bars. You got your order in. Your stop is a tick off of the signal bar. You're entering a tick below. Nice trade. Again, yep, we're entering right at the 89. I'm okay with that because these are spread out. I don't have the 200 jammed up against the 89. And I've got room before I get to that 200. Get up that little head of steam. So we go down, and you can maybe imagine you're seeing something of a little mini 5-wave pattern there. And we pull back up, and here's our SQ signal. Again, you can choose to take that signal and enter it, or you can say, no, I'm going to use that as a confirming factor. You're always, with these SQ signals, you're always going to have stuff in the middle here. It's by definition, because the market's slowing down, so the moving averages are going to kind of all start collecting together. So there's your early entry. And the next one was a standard entry. So early entry, I like to go what I call 2 dots back. And sometimes you don't have 2 dots back. Like this one, you only have 1 dot. But that's early entry. And there's very specific rules in the trade plan for early entry versus standard entry. And down we go. Again, 6, 12, 18, I'm done. Okay. Are you going to decide to take a second entry? I sure wouldn't take that one because I'm right at the 600, and there's just way too much support right there. But it goes down. We hit that. That is a local DPTL, okay, so the weakest of the bunch. But it's interesting. The market turned on it. We got a standard signal. Probably not too interested. I don't like to enter when I'm still entering underneath a major moving average. So I wait a little bit. See if I get a little better chance here. Okay, second signal, good. Okay, now at least I'm entering, at the moving average. But maybe I still don't like it. I'd end up waiting till that one. And up it went. Right now, I have this set up to show 4 BR signals. Now, you can show as many as you want. You can have a BR signal on every one of these turns. I focus mostly on the ones that are close to this line. So we go up. There's a SQ signal with the trend. Nice looking signal. There's a second one. Didn't do as well. And midnight. So let's scroll through to the next day, and here we are. Here's the 9:30 open. And interestingly enough, the market opened with a pullback right to the 200. So do you think I'm really interested in this BR signal? Heck no. That's a trade avoidance rule right there. So market goes right into a squeeze, pulls back. Okay, sitting on my hands. We do pull back into this little DPTL confluence area, and we'll see if that's going to do anything. We pull back, we get our short-term trend up, and we get a BR signal. Again, I'm not real interested in this. I don't want to launch a trade directly into the 200. We've been in the squeeze long enough. Eventually, the signals are going to work. You're going to break out with a signal. But I'm just not one to launch a trade into that 200. So I wait, come back, and again, I'm just not going to launch that BR signal into that. Not going to launch it into the 600. Waiting. Okay, now we get a green uptrend, and I'm past all that. Now I'm going with the trend, and I'm above it. I'm a lot more interested in that signal. Pull back to the 89. Okay, there's no signal there, but I can tell you pullbacks to the 89. And the nice thing about these bars, you say, you know, it's a pullback to the 89. I think I might try that one. Well, your order is going to be way up here. Well, this thing's testing this, and it's going to look in the real time. It's going to look quite far away. So what you're saying is, yeah, I'm willing to take that trade if and only if that reversal bar completes. And that's an 8-tick reversal bar right there. So that's a way you can play some of these other trades. And again, we are going up. We got this little short-term BR. I'm a little bit concerned. Why? Because here's the high of the day. Well, that high of the day serves as a little resistance. So I'm a little concerned. And it bounced off a little bit, but we got a better signal. Again, might be a lot more interested in that. This SQ signal is kind of a confirming factor here. I don't usually see these. I filter the counter trend ones out, but this is a failed SQ. So now I'm favoring going this opposite way. And I want to show you when I filter these out, and I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go to indicators. I want to go down to the SQ setting, and it's going to say confirm with MA1. Well, MA1 happens to be set up here. MA1 is the 200. So I'm going to confirm it with above, below the Bolligers, but I'm also going to confirm it with the slope. And you should see that one disappear. And it went away. The reason I do that, I'm really looking to limit my SQs right now. Now here again, here's ZR signal. I put a lot of weight, if you will, on these ZRs that form right at the 200. And you do have the option of doing that in terms of you could put a filter in that says I only want to see ZRs at the 200. But it's an awfully nice confirming factor for a BR signal too. And that was an early signal. And notice in this entire run up, this is why I do these early entry things, it impulsed up. You didn't have a chance to get in on a BR signal with a reversal bar. These are all early entries, but it was a nice trade. And if you backtest these enough, you start to see there's good reason to put these in. And it went up, and it pulls back, and now we're looking at counter trend trades. This will happen quite a bit. You're looking at all this, up, and you get these counter trend signals you're not too happy about, and then you go into a squeeze. And okay, well, we'll wait, see how this is going to resolve. It's going to break out, to the upside or downside. Got a little squeeze signal. Again, I'm not one to take them too often. It didn't come to the 200. Now, if the squeeze was wider, then you would have had a squeeze signal right there. But don't trade this thing just with the signals. The signals are very good. They give you audio alerts, but also be watching for things like this. You got this reversal bar. You're watching this thing come down. You're saying, if this thing reverses, way up here, I think I'd like to take that. And it went up for a while. So you had various opportunities with the BR signals. This BR signal right here, one of the filters that I don't have running right now because I wanted to be able to show you this, what I do is I actually put a filter in. It says how many bars from this up vertical line are you willing to see signals? I put a great premium on getting signals close to that line. So if you start counting bars, you come up with a number. Is it 25 bars? Is it 30 bars? Past, I don't want to see any signals. Because remember, you're going to get resets. So here's a reset. It reset with a down. Now we're back into an up condition. Are we really interested in taking that BR that's totally counter trend, right at the moving average? We just got into a squeeze. I can almost guarantee that's going nowhere. But it did touch the 89. So we go up, and again, notice this signal is quite a distance from this. And we just came up to a dual DPTL zone. So not too interested in that, but maybe we'll get a better signal. We got a reset. I really like that one. Now I'm sitting right on top of that, moving away from that support zone. So basically we had role reversal here. We went from it being resistance, now it's support. Now I like that a whole lot better. And just to go back here, do we see any kind of a 5-wave pattern? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's kind of interesting. I don't have, I'd prefer to have something really strong up here, but at least I have 5-wave pattern. It pulls back, it retests, and there's that pattern. It retests. That's as far as you can retest with those dots before you get a trend change. I like those very much. Again, not too interested in the early signal with that type. If I had a super strong resistance zone, I'd be more interested. But that row of dots like that with a retest after a 5-wave move, that's pretty nice signal right there. And again, how you manage that on the way down. Are you going to take fixed targets and look for a second entry, this type of thing, or are you going to set up a runner? And the market comes down, blows through the 89, blows through the 200. Well, it did hesitate. Goes through this, and where did it end up? It ended up at the 600. So again, am I going to jump right in? No. I'm going to wait and see what it does. It went up. It gave me a signal. My only problem is that signal is right at that DPTL area. And I can look to the left and see it did kind of react to that. So I'm going to wait a little bit. Sure enough, it retests again and again and again. I don't know if there's a 4-bar pattern, but if you're a 3-bar pattern fan, that's a heck of a trade right there. So now this is probably the FOMC announcement. But what I wanted you to see on this, the market went crazy. FOMC came out. No signals. I kind of like that. I mean, it would be too fast to trade, but there's no signals because it was just going too fast to. There's no pullbacks at all. There's no BR signals anywhere here. And then it starts slowing down a little bit. Still, way too soon. I'm going to scroll past until we get past all this craziness from the, and we'll get to here. Okay, so now we're a few minutes past, and it looks like we're back to a little more normal trading. So market goes up. Okay, I like this. It came up in my DPTL zone. It's coming back. Probably not real excited about this because I don't want to send my trade into all this stuff. Now we get a ZR1. That's definitely a possibility in terms of coming into all this support. And we go up. And all of a sudden I've got a box. I've left a few breadcrumbs here. And just so you know what that is, I think some of you are probably all over this one. That is a 786 retracement zone right there from the 707 to the 786. So that's what that is. So that is on my trade plan in terms of just being aware. And after a while, you just kind of get a feel for that. Just looks like a 786. Okay, so the market turned. That's good. I'm kind of waiting. Can I get a signal here? And now, are you going to jump right in? I'd be a little hesitant. I don't want to set my trade into all these moving averages just yet. But I've got that turning. I've got a 786 retracement. But all that's telling me is we could be in for a nice rundown. And sure enough, it took a while. But we ended up getting our signal. Do I like that signal? You bet. I've got all kinds of structure helping me out here. I have made it, now I'm below all these moving averages. Now they're starting to point down. You bet. I'm all over that. So good trade there. There's our pullback to the 89, and eventually we make it down to the 200. And it spends time. This 15 range bar 200 has been very, very good. And it spends time, and then, you know, do I really want to, I'm telling you, I'm not really big in the SQ signals, except that I like them to confirm some other things. This one would have worked out. It was pretty choppy through here. And it comes down, and we get, you know, we get this short-term uptrend started, but we're in a squeeze. Am I really ready to get in there? Gee, it did come to the dots, but oh my gosh, no, I'm not ready. Okay, so I'm sitting on my hands still. You know, what's this thing going to do? How is it going to resolve? So if you were patient, notice we got a 1, 2, 1, 2. So there's our little 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're kind of waiting, and this is getting more and more interesting. We got this very slow turnaround here. Doggone it, we got a 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So we break out. Now we've broken out of the squeeze. And when we get a BR, we do have a little resistance here. But I got to tell you, 1, 2, 1, 2 pattern, in terms of a structural pattern, is my favorite. I know Jerry loves it. So that's a yes. And pull back to the 89. We go on, and you can see, you know, did that SQ kind of start that whole move up? Yes, it did. You know, am I more inclined to take the BR signal? Yeah. Little bit of a spotty squeeze going on. You know, we're in the squeeze, we're out of the squeeze, we're in the squeeze, we're out of the squeeze. It just tells me it's not that strong of a squeeze. So that trade worked out nicely. And of course, it's got to go quiet again. You know, when you get a nice big run up, you're invariably going to get a little pullback, and you're going to get these little BR signals. But usually, you're going to see that they're going to be going into some kind of a problem right here. And I'm very suspect of, you know, when we get an impulse run up, that we're going to get quiet again. So we get quiet. First BR in the squeeze, forget it, not going there. You know, SQ signals, I'm kind of, I'm not taking them right now. I'm looking at them. But what I'm noticing is we are getting lower as we go. So, you know, this BR, not quite strong enough. This one's pretty good. Okay, we're longer in the squeeze here. I don't know if any of you are football fans, but they talk about the officials. They always say, did the receiver make a football move before he lost the ball? Well, I look at a squeeze, you know, did the market make a you know, price action move? Well, it did. You know, we had up, down. We had movement in this. And so that, if this thing came in here and just kind of dribbled along, I'd just wait for it to break out. But we got this long string of dots, and you knew about it, you know, way back here. Kind of, you know, gee, am I going to test it? Nope. And here's the extreme test. It cannot go any further, and we got a signal. Those are nice signals. You know the darn thing's got to break out of the squeeze. I know we're starting in this area right here, but this is, you know, certain CFs are taking over right there. And we come down, we come up. Again, the signal, this BR signal, we're starting here. I know we've got a resistance area that the market has been responding to for the last hour. Probably not. I'm just too concerned it's gonna turn right there. So I'd stay away from that. And we're coming down. This is an interesting signal in that we're below the 89, below the 200. I know I've got a rising 600, but I've got some room. Personally, I'm much more apt to take that because I like being just underneath that 200. And it comes down and it, you know, bops around down here and goes right into the squeeze. Kind of end of the day stuff. Interesting, this whole long squeeze, the way we filtered these, you only got one signal because we filtered out the counter trend squeeze signals right there. Those are gone. So that one is the only one that showed up. You know, being, you know, knowing that we've got to break out sometime with these moving averages rising, you're either using that as confirmation, maybe that BR signal, or if you didn't like that one, you wanted to get above of this, still turned out to be a good trade. So this, I put a little box right here on this thing, and it'll come up later. So we're coming up, we're coming up, we're coming up. You know, we finally pull back, and basically this is a double top. Okay, it fits the criteria. It's a little past the 786 zone, so it's a double top. So okay, I've got a double top. Should I be interested in the next BR when it comes up? Maybe. I've got limited potential here because I know I've got this zone here. So there's something to keep in mind. For me, that would be a scalping trade. If I was going to take that, I'm gonna take my targets and move them in and take 3 contracts off at 6 ticks. But look at what we got here. I don't know if you can see this. Took a while to develop. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so we got a little higher time frame, 1, 2, 1, 2 going. Kind of gives you some reason to start looking for some BR signals. Maybe I was a little concerned about starting it there. Maybe you wait to this one over here so you can actually start your trade down here. But that's a 1, 2, 1, 2 pattern right there. And did the market respond to the 1, 2, 1, 2 pattern? Yes, it did. So on we go. We get this pullback with the ZR again. If you're taking ZRs, that's fine. Or you can use it as confirmation of the next BR signal. Okay. So, very much with the trend on both. They worked very well. Nice trades there. And, we come down, we impulse down right to this level. So that's a little bit of just the fact that the market impulsed down makes me a little more interested in taking a BR, even though I know it's counter trend. Okay. So there's a couple of them. So we go up, start making some 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that a 5-wave pattern? Are we going to come down? And, well, no, we didn't. It just kept chopping and churning up. Made a visit to the 200. Kind of got hung up there for a while. Came back to our little zone. That's why I have this box here, because that zone has been in effect for a while. Makes this SQ signal that is now in line with the 200, in line with our DPTL zone. That one worked out pretty nice. And we come up here. We've got a 50% internal fib line. Very nice support resistance zone. And by the way, people who get this package, Jerry's going to be giving away his indicator package that has that in it. And so we come on down, and not getting in, not at all interested in this. This is going into too much traffic. We come down, we bounce very expectedly off that 200 EMA, and we come back to make a double top. Now I'm interested. Okay. Now we've got to get in with, and that turns out to be a nice trade. And it gets kind of hung up at this DPTL zone again. Again, just notice this screen just in and out of the squeeze. I mean, this is a very choppy price action. And that's why I say, you're in a squeeze. We have filtered these SQ signals. But right there, where that box is, that would be an SQ signal if we weren't filtering them the way we are. But you don't need necessarily the signals. We just came down into this triple DPTL support zone, which we've been watching for several hours. I mean, we've been watching the market react to it. To me, signal or no signal, I'm interested in that. We're right at the Bollinger Band. And it goes, it's very, very choppy. Again, when you're in this choppy stuff, I tend to ignoring the BR signals. BR signal is a trending signal. Well, this choppy stuff with all this squeeze background is telling us this is not a trending price action right now. And it goes on for quite a while like that. So if nothing else, the squeeze background might give you a little sense of, I don't think I want to trade right now. And it goes on and on. So a lot of squeeze that day. Very, very difficult. So, and here's 4:30 in the afternoon. So it spent a better part, of several hours just messing around in this. Might be a good time not to trade. So that's just a different way to use it. So let's move on. There's midnight. Just kind of scroll through these. You can see even in the middle of the night, doggone it, some of these BR signals work pretty well. It's pretty amazing, how well these are working. This one right here, how far away it is from that line. Like I say, when I'm trading real time with this, I do put a filter in here. I don't want to see them that far away. Now, this one's going right into all this mess. Didn't work out too good. However, it did bounce off all that mess. Makes that one look a whole lot better. And let's get a little closer to the opening. One of the things, you start looking at the opening and you start looking back, and what do we got going here going into the open? And well, here's basically a double top. That did quite well if you're trading, at 9 o'clock, and actually very well. Double top, pulled under the 200, pulled back to the 200 with a BR signal. It's a very nice looking trade. Comes down into the zone, bounces, goes to the next zone, and we're waiting on the opening, and we're waiting, and we're watching, and we're looking, and we're like, what is going on? And what do we have again? 1, 2, 1, 2, right before the opening. We got a 1, 2, 1, 2 pattern right before the opening. I use a little thing that'll give me a little bit of a shaded heads up, and the yellow dash line is the opening bell. So there's your first. You're entering above that 200. I like that. I'm coming off of a 1, 2, 1, 2 and the Russell opening. It's usually good for a winner right there. Go up, come back again. Pretty suspect when we come back when I'm looking at all this stuff below. And we get a little squeeze signal. That actually worked out pretty good. This is the filtered squeeze signal, so both of these, work decently well. But we're in a squeeze, so I'm going to be careful. Here's that 600. It keeps testing. One of the things I'd like to point out, I've got some lines drawn in. There's one right there, that arrow line, yellow arrow line. Here's a yellow arrow line drawn in. When you see the 600 and the 200 converging like that, you've basically got a converging pattern. And of course, we've got the squeeze. Eventually, it's going to break out. We got a signal finally out of the squeeze that went for something. And then we start topping out here. Again, those of you who are 3-bar sell pattern people, there's a 3-bar sell pattern. You could use it as a CF, saying, hey, here we come down. There's my first BR signal. Away we go. Market comes down. Now you start to notice this is getting really repetitive. And it is, because good trading should be very, very boring. So here we come back up. Here's our zone. I just put a little box so you can see it. We hit this zone. We come down. We retest the zone. There's our BR signal. Down we go. Any guess what that zone is? Yeah, that's the 786 retracement off of this little move up right here. So market comes down into the 786. We get a 1, 2, 3-bar buy pattern. Got this stuff we got to get through. Okay. So let's wait. We got our vertical green line uptrend. Good. Now we're above that, and we got our BR signal. So 786 retracement, 3-bar buy. Now we had roll reversal of this whole zone here. Was resistance, now it's support, away we go. And we come back again. Again, I think you probably figured out what that blue box represents. That's a 786 off of that one. So now we've got a ZR signal at a local DPTL with rising 600, rising 200 at a 786 retracement. A lot more CFs for that ZR. And did it respond? Yes, it sure did. Okay, we go up to this DPTL zone, and yep, guess what that blue box is? 786 of that one. That one didn't do so good. Okay, so they're not all going to be big winners. However, having come up into a dual DPTL zone, getting our downtrend started, getting the first BR, you might have been in that trade knowing full well you might end your trade somewhere around this zone. But then you pull up and you get another one. So it just depends on how many of these you want to take. We come down. Again, we get, I don't know if there's such a thing as a 4-bar. There, 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 there. Now, one thing I will say with this bar type, it's really easy to see these patterns. We get our uptrend started, we're in a squeeze, but we're making some movement in this squeeze. We got a failed SQ. So we failed in the downward direction. Okay, I'm interested in that one, not so much the first one, because I don't have that information yet. But we actually had a failed SQ, and that told me something, that this thing wants to go up, and we have this 3-bar buy pattern. And we come back and make a touch to the 200, the 89, and the 600. Just being a trader, I know Jerry used to do what he called a bow tie pattern. When you see these things cross like this, you get these little bow tie formations. So that's the old bow tie pattern. But maybe you said, nope, I'm trading my signals. That's very interesting. I want to see if I get my vertical green line and I get my first BR signal. And that's what I'm going to trade. So, and this just goes on and on and on. Another 3-bar buy pattern, inverse head and shoulders in that case. Got a BR signal right at the 3rd point. Again, you might say, hey, I'm not quite ready to do this. Got a failed SQ. Didn't come down very far. Again, got another chance, got another chance. So they come up to the 200 and they gotta run these stops out. Oh, they gotta run the stops out. So you kind of look for that. Does it overshoot it just a bit and then come down? And another good little telltale sign that they might be coming down. And again, here are these little counter trend ZRs. They drive me crazy. That's why I'm focusing more on the BRs right now. Coming down, in and out of the squeeze, in and out of the squeeze. So we finally make it up to the 600 and this little DPTL zone. I'm a little more interested in that ZR, simply because I've got my DPTL zone running with the 600. And down we go. This is interesting in that now we've got a double bottom. Okay. Am I going to be interested in taking that? Maybe. We've got an awful lot of traffic up here. Even though we got a double bottom, I'm a little bit hesitant, and sure enough, it hesitated. It eventually went up, but it sure stumbled around in here. And this is still a technical double top. That's my little arrow. So we've got a double top. Okay, this is interesting. Let's see what this double top can do. Is it going to send it down? No, we didn't quite get our red line there. Didn't close. But I'm sure not taking that BR signal long against the double top. Goes up. I'm still waiting to see. Can we go? Okay, there we got it. We got our downtrend started. We got our first signal. I'm having to start my trade right in the midst of this stuff. So that's going to give me a reason to pause. We get going. We get another signal. Okay. Now, I will tell you these early entry, in other words, no reversal bars, we're getting kind of far away from that red line. There's something in me that's saying, maybe I'm going to wait. Well, I waited, but you notice, we got an uptrend started. There's the trade. I was just a little too nervous to start here, to send the trade in. A little too nervous way down here because it's just so far away. I know it's eventually going to give me a pullback with bars of opposite color, and it did. Now, could I have gotten in right there? Sure could have. That's the 89 and the 200, after a double top. And where did it end up? We've seen this big wide zone before. Same one, keeps showing up, and it bounced off of that. And again, here's a BR signal going right into the 200. That's a pass. This is a semi-interesting ZR1, not really one I'd be interested in. It came close to the 600. I'd be a lot happier if it actually came and penetrated that 600. It didn't. It's these major moving averages are like magnets, and if the price will go to them, I'm a little more interested. But we wait, and it comes down, and it does its thing, and we're in a squeeze, totally ignoring these early BRs, pretty much ignoring this BR. It's just not going to go anywhere. But we got double top. Now I got an SQ signal that's a double top with this DPTL and a downtrending 600. That's the kind I'm more interested in. So I've got some real good structure and things working for me, and that was the start of the move. Now we had another opportunity right there to take a first BR very close to the line. Comes down kind of on my chart in the no man's land, and we head back up. Again, we're counter trend. I'm probably passing on it. If I had some really good structural component right there in terms of support level, I did kind of have a 5-wave pattern coming down. Not quite an Elliott wave. So passed. Let's see what this is going to do, and it's just choppy. So of all the signals here, that's probably the best looking one because it's now using the 200. But I'm launching the trade directly into the 600. Very concerned about that. So pretty much not doing much trading in here for me. We're touching the 600, we're touching the 600, we're touching the 600. This goes on long enough and you start thinking, one of these signals is going to go down. That's a third touch to the 600. So that starts adding up. Could you have made a little money with that one? Probably. So down we come. Again, some different opportunities to get in. These two went right to these little SAR dots and a 60-minute DPTL. That's pretty nice. Comes down to this level, and it's just on we go, and on we go. And it's getting really late in the day. You see a nice little pullback to the 89, which it just loves to do. This is a Sunday. I'm going to skip that. So this is now a Monday session, not known for huge price action. Interesting looking SQ signal. Now it's early in the morning. If you were, wanting to trade a little pre-market, you had a couple of SQs that you very easily could have used as a CF, an extra CF, right down here at this 200 period moving average. So some excellent support right there, and uptrending 200 and 600. So pretty nice looking BR signal right there, just in terms of how it's set up. It's later in the squeeze. We had a whole bunch of them earlier in the squeeze that we ignore. Now we've got a reason to be interested in that. It goes up to this little DPTL area. We get a 1, 2, 3 bar sell. We get a BR signal. Okay, now we're looking at about an 830 trade. Comes down. It amazes me how many times I get a signal exactly on the open. Didn't take off and go very far. Went into a squeeze on this open. In an unfiltered situation, you'd have an SQ signal right there, and you'd have one right there. But I chose to filter them. Market comes down, getting a really strong zone with the 600 DPTL, 200. The 50% internal fib, really strong stuff here. Comes down, retests a little farther, running some stops out. Now we're starting to get interested. The first BR signal, that entry right there would have run that trade right into the 200. I shy away from those. this signal, and that was an early entry. Then we get a red bar, so we got a standard entry, and now our entry is up here, above that 200. I like that a whole lot better, and it tends to work out better. So we go up, and again, on my chart, I don't have any, wonderful things right here to tell me much. I'm going to wait. I'm early in the squeeze. Am I going to take this BR going in the squeeze right into the 200? No way. Just forget it. Not doing it. And now we got, okay, good. Now we got our uptrend started, and we've got, we got these little dots. Oh, we got dots. Okay. Let me actually get this out of the way. This is my reminder. Look at the difference between the signals that were away from the SAR dots versus when the price actually came down to it. So I do put quite a bit of emphasis in terms of a very strong CF on those SAR dots right there. Because you can just see it. We had 1, 2 failed VR signals. It was only when the price touched that SAR dot, got that signal, that the market moved up. That's a little tiny 786 retracement from that run up right there. No signals, but it's a 786 retracement at the 200 at this DPTL zone. So okay, that's interesting. So I'm interested to see if we get a vertical trend alerter for an uptrend. We did, and we got our first BR. So you look at this thing. Is there any wonder why that BR signal worked? We had a bottoming movement. We had a little run up. We had a 786 retracement to a very well-defined support zone with the 200, the 2 DPTLs. There's just a lot of reasons that thing took off. Okay, it makes a nice run up. I'm not in a squeeze. Okay, this is no squeeze. And we get this down signal. We get early signals. I got a little distance between some of these. They are a little counter trend, but I've got some distance. So that is a signal I'm interested in because of that, because we've made this run. You can argue there's a little 5-wave looking type thing here. So this comes down, and sure enough, we get this little CR signal that goes nowhere because we're in kind of a messy area right here, and we go into the squeeze. And on and on and on we go. So finally we break out of the squeeze. Nice looking signal right there. I don't like early entry signals in a squeeze. I like the standard entry. And comes down to this support area. And it took a while. Stammered around a little bit here. Dropped down. I think it's interesting. This orange line is just a local DPTL from the host chart here. Probably the weakest of the bunch. Look at how the market kind of stammered around that a little bit. It reacted to it. It didn't just blow right through it. So we go down, blew right through this zone. We're moving. Now, you could set up so you'd have BR signals on all these. As I said before, I put great premium on ones that are close to that vertical line alert right there. To me, I'd rather, if I'm going to do a runner, I'd rather just trail this as a runner. And it ran, so it has to rest, and it's kind of stuck between these two support resistance zones. And we get an SQ signal right at the top of the zone here. That's pretty nice, right at the 89. Pretty nice looking SQ signal, definitely with the trend. Another SQ signal. Again, even if you're not taking these, you can look and say, hey, we had some movement inside the squeeze. We're later in the squeeze. We pulled back to the 89. I've got a BR signal after an SQ signal that did okay. Now it did, like a little movement here, but it did okay. So I call that a successful SQ signal preceding a BR signal. Did very nice. Again, here it sounds like a broken record. We got a little baby 3-bar buy pattern. It goes up, you get a BR signal. Maybe you take that. Maybe you say, oh, I just entered a squeeze, I'm going to wait. Okay. Well, look at what happened. We got this little 3-bar buy pattern. We waited. even though we had all these blue dots, you can hardly see them because we're right at the low of the day. We're retesting the low of the day. And up we go. We got a 1-2-1-2 pattern with all kinds of BR signals. And the market took off. And yeah, this goes on and on. It's all the same. Now we went up. And Jerry, if you are still listening, I am about ready to turn this back over to you. I can go on and on and on like this in terms of how this is the same. See these BR signals? I'm not going to send a trade into all this stuff. I'm going to wait for it to pull back to the dots. Then I'm going to send it into all that stuff. And it just goes on and on and on. Here we are at the end of the squeeze, going down. Pull back to these moving averages. Another 1-2-1-2 pattern. Wait for your first BR signal. That did well. Where did the thing turn? Right at that 15 range, 200, and that's 4:30 in the afternoon, right there. So that is that. And Jerry, if you are there and willing to take this mic back over, I'm ready for you. Like I said, this just goes. It's very repetitive. I don't know. I will tell you next week what I want to do. Next Thursday, we can overcome tech issues. I'm going to spend half the time going over a different market. Haven't decided which one, whether it's this EMD market that I've been trading and loving because it moves so beautifully, or crude oil or some other market. Same kind of thing, just taking you through. And I want to also take you through how I create these multi-time frame DPTL support and resistance zones, because they are very, very powerful. You just scroll through this thing and just all day long you'll see this thing bouncing off of these things and bouncing off. That just, here's my little note that didn't take the earlier one, wait for the thing to hit those SAR dots, look at the difference in the reaction when it does that. So just on and on and on. It's all the same. It's nothing new I'm going to show you here. It's very, very dull and boring. It's all the same. I'm also, for people who get the package, I'm gonna send these templates out to people. Okay, Jerry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Just I posted a note in the room. I thought you might see it.
Oh, okay. All righty. Well, I'm ready for you to take this back over. I don't know if my mic is still live. That's kind of the. I mean, I could go on for 3 hours, but it's so repetitive. It's just the same every time. Every one of these things I've shown, they are all in that trade plan setup as CFs. So like I say, I am not making this up as I go along. Okay, Jerry, back to you.
Hey, Dave, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Super job. Great session. And we really appreciate it. Thanks.